I talk about advocacy all the time for obvious reasons. That's a big part
Yep.
of my life. And, getting to a point where I don't want to say even a place where you're healthy, but a place where you do have that grounded feeling of like, okay, I understand what's making me tick in some way. And there's a lot of people out there that don't. There's a lot of people out there that don't understand that mental health should be a priority the same way their physical health should be.
Yep.
How do you get to helping other people? Once your oxygen mask is on, how do you start assisting other people and having these conversations in a helpful and healthy way?
Yep. It's a great question. It's a great analogy as well. We all need to start thinking a lot more of mental health being like physical health. We all have it. We all have it. We're all either working on it or we're not. We're either working on our physical health or we're not. We're either working on our mental health or we're not. And so doing little things to begin to improve all of our mental wellness is helpful. But specifically about focusing on other people or helping other people. So I get this question a lot, and I used to like give all these things you should look for, and I just stopped because I realized like no one's going to remember. And so what I teach now is that the people, because I think what we're talking about are the people in our sphere, like our close friends, our family, the people that we are going to be able to have conversations with. Not the person at Target who's, we don't know what, I mean, if you want to lean into that, great. But go ahead.
No, I'm just not. I'm saying, I agree. I think that's good to clarify that too, because I think also when I start having this conversation about advocacy and helping other people tend to go, I don't have a podcast, or I don't have a platform, or I don't have so I'm glad you clarified your immediate circle. If you have like one friend, you could be an advocate to that one person.
Yeah. Anyway, these are the people. So whoever the people in your life that you would consider your circle, and this is how I want you to define that. If you know how these humans show up emotionally 6 days out of the week, those are the people I'm talking about. The people that you know how they enter conversations, the people that you know sort of kind of their ebbs and flows, like 6 days out of the week. I'm going to make a bad joke for our current situation, but I chose 6 days because even the Lord took a day. Okay. So the Lord took a day. So like everybody got 6 days. So, and here's why that's important. The people in your life, if they start like day 2 or day 3, if like Eric starts showing up differently, if Eric is not entering into conversations, if Eric is not adding things to anything we're doing, if Eric is constantly pulling back in a situation, but that's not how Eric shows up, we don't need to let Eric go on for 2 weeks, like 6 days. So after like 2 or 3 days, then you can lean in and just say, and I would do it just like this. I'll keep using you. I would begin to say, hey, Eric, listen, I hope you know how much I care about you. Man, I just want you to know that from like the outside, friend, it just seems a little different. I'm just going to be honest and say you seem a little off. Is there something happening at home? Is something happening at work? I would love to support you. Can I listen? Like that's your entire walk up. You lead with care and concern. You own the fact that like from the outside looking in, things just seem a little different. And then you ask them if you can support, not help, because a lot of people don't want help, but support. And then just say, can I listen? And like you're giving Eric a free one way to have a conversation. Now, Eric may not lean in, and he may not talk. But Eric knows that in the future, if he does need to talk, like I'm here. So I think in life, we are afraid to have conversations to support people because we like, I don't know what to say. Okay. I literally just told you. We're like, I don't know when to ask. I literally just told you, like, don't look for all these check boxes. Like, you know how people show up in your life. And when they start showing up differently, lean in and ask questions, and like, not to be dramatic, but to be honest, because you could save someone's life. I mean, the research is very clear that most suicides are preceded by some sorts of signs, but usually the people that can notice them are the people in your inner circle, not the person at Target. And so you really look for that by looking and see how they show up emotionally when they don't lean in and ask if you can support.
Yeah, that's helpful. And even if, if someone already forgot that because they're like me and they listen to a podcast and go, okay, that information's gone. You even do a shorter version of this where you just ask, how are you feeling?
How are you feeling?
And and if you tune into your podcast, you'll hear a great musical rendition of that'll cement that into your mind forever. But asking, how are you feeling, instead of how are you doing, or how is everything, or what's up, how are you feeling, opens up great conversation. I mean, you've asked me that question and I'm like, oh my God, how am I feeling? Yeah, you start
Yep.
asking yourself these questions. That's a
Yep.
really simple approach. So if you don't remember any of the other steps, you can ask somebody today, how are
How
you
are you
feeling?
feeling? Yeah. And
It's
actually,
super.
challenge you all to do it, because
Yeah.
it is fascinating the responses you're going to get back.
Mhm.
But the most common response is going to be feeling, how am I feeling? And in that moment, the other person realizes they couldn't name a feeling if you paid them.
Mm.
But it also then allows you and your friend group, if your friend group starts doing this, promise your friend group, your family will get closer because you're allowing each other to talk about what's really going on inside, as opposed to like, I'm fine, or "ite." Like, I don't know what "ite" means, but
Right.
we sure say it a lot.
Yeah, yeah. It makes you go a little bit deeper,
Yeah.
and my response when I would ask people that, when you did your challenge, I would ask people, it was always like, what do you mean how I'm feeling?
I know, right?
Because typically when someone says, how are you? I know for me, like I was in the worst, like end of 2019, early 2020, I was in the worst place mentally. And people would ask, how are you doing? But like, oh, I just got a raise, or I'm making more money, or doing this. And it's like very easy to just pass it off to like, oh, this circumstance is good. But then it would come into, how are you feeling? It's like, yeah, I'm making more money than ever and I feel miserable and depressed.
Yep.
Like that's a much more difficult thing to just throw out there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I think that's super helpful.